Hey guys, it's Maymay, and I'm sure from the thumbnail you have seen that we're going to make reindeer gift tags, but I thought I would start from the beginning with you guys and work your way through. Instead of starting with that cute reindeer, we're going to start with building the tags. I'm going to use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. Now, I have said in the past, and I may be wrong, and I'm the first one to admit when I am, that I'm not a big fan of buying single-sided paper. But when it came to making these tags, I literally went into my stash for a piece of single-sided cardstock because the way we're going to do the tags, this works perfect, and I'll show you how. So I'm going to take my paper trimmer, and I'm using a 12 by 12 because I want to get a bunch of these at one time, right? So it's Christmas time. We need lots of tags. Or it's coming up Christmas. Can you believe it? I'm so excited. So I'm going to cut 3-inch strips on this paper. Just as many as I can get, which should be 4 because we're working with 12 by 12 paper. Trim these down. 6 inches and 1 more. So we can get, 2 more. We can get 8 of these from 1 sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. So that's super cool. Sit down, 1 sheet of cardstock, 8 tags. We're going to need a little more supplies, but not too much really. All right, so there's those pieces. Now I want to score them while I've got them out. Now I score with the inside up. Some people score the opposite way. What I like to do is press those paper fibers into that little slot of the scoring tool and then fold my paper over and crease it while it's still in the tool so I can get a nice square crease because I'm letting the tool hold it together, if that makes sense, or keep it in a square. So now look, we have this cute little 3 by 3, or it's going to be a 3 by 3 tag. All right, so I'm going to score the rest of them the same way. So inside facing up, score, fold, and crease. So here's my 8 folded tags, and you can see that they look like this. They're not tags yet, they're just folded rectangles. All right, so now let's build something for the front. Now, because the inside is pretty white, I'm going to use white paper on the front as well. I think that'll be cute to do that. And so we're going to cut this guy down. But this one, we're going to cut into 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 squares because we're going to mat the front of those tags with this piece. So I'm going to cut 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 strips. And this one should be 2 3/4. It's pretty close. I'm going to trim a tiny hair off of it. Just that little tiny hair. Good deal. Now I'm going to trim the rest of them, or trim them the other way at 2 3/4. So just turn them and get these little squares. So I've got 8 squares I'm going to need for my tags, but from that 1 piece of paper we end up with 12. So don't get rid of these. You can use these too. You might look in your scrap drawer and see if you've got enough scrap to make this and use those and make even number of tags. Okay, for the fun part, this is what I've been waiting on the whole time. I had to prep to get to here, and here's the deal. You guys, do you have any of these Memento Dewdrop inks? I love them because I found a lot of different ways to use them. These two are Desert Sand and Rich Cocoa, but you could use a lot of different ones, but I have to show you what I'm thinking. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the shape of this dewdrop and turn it into a reindeer. Yep, we're going to make it a reindeer. We've made them poinsettias in the past, and now we're going to make it into a reindeer. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stamp, just kind of eyeball centering this dude, right down onto my white paper, just like that, and give myself this shape. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of these. I'm going to do 1 in the Desert Sand and 1 in the Rich Cocoa, and then I'll make the rest off camera so you don't have to watch me make all of them. But this one, I'm going to do the same thing. Just kind of stamp it on the page. This is totally something your kids can get involved with and have a ball. Now that looks like black, but it will dry lighter, and it is Rich Cocoa color. Now we need to turn this into a reindeer. How are we going to do that, Maymay? I will show you. I'm so excited. I'm going to use my Martha Stewart branch punch because this is my favorite thing to use to make antlers for these little deer, and some scrap paper. So look at this scrap. This is literally, I don't even know why I had this. Oh well, you save things sometimes, right? But I'm glad I did because I like this color. So this is kind of a pale, I guess it's more of a manila color. I think this came from a tag, to be honest. I'm not really sure where this paper came from, but use what you got. So on this dark reindeer, I thought he needed a pale antler. So there's a paler color antler for him, like so. And then this guy's going to get a darker antler. So I'm using some chocolate paper for him. So there's 1, and there's 2. And so this guy, the light colored deer, is going to get chocolate antlers. I like the chocolate antlers better. I may only do this, but I just want to show you how you can do this. Matter of fact, with these light colored antlers, I might put him on a different color paper in the background so they'd show up better, but we're just going to keep going. All right, so now he needs a nose, right? Well, I'm going to show you some options. I think my favorite option is this red button. I love buttons, especially at Christmas time, and I think that's adorable, but you could use glue and glitter. Okay, you can take a brad. Let me show you this. Now I dug around in my stash looking for a red brad and I didn't have any, but this is a little white brad. You can see the end of it there. And I have a red marker. This is a Spectrum Noir red marker, but you could do this with any permanent marker, with a Sharpie, whatever you got. And I'm gonna color this guy red. This one's going a little pink on me, but that's all right. We might have to put 2 coats of this color on it. I'm just gonna color this guy all around. So while this guy is drying, let's talk eyes. I'm just going to sit him there to dry. You can do this with googly eyes. Look how cute this is. Now, I only have some fairly large googly eyes. I don't have any tiny ones. But if you had some tiny ones, how cute would this be with tiny googly eyes? And I like the eyes to be down. I like them kind of low, but you can also do them big and wide to make him look silly. You can change his expression any way you like. Now, let's say you don't have googly eyes. Let me move these out of the way. You can use a pen and just make them yourself. So this is my black pen, and I'm just going to come right here and just make a couple eyes. One right there, one right there, and look how silly he looks. I love the silly little tiny eyes. You can do anything. Play around. Let your kids dig around and find stuff. Let's adhere this guy down and put that brad in so we can put his eyes on too. So I'm going to go ahead and put some art glitter glue on this button and put it into place and let it sit and start drying just like that. Then on the back of the antlers, I'm just going to dot some glue here and there. I'm not worried about gluing them completely down, just here and there. Not a big deal if they stick up some. So there he is with his antlers glued on, his little eyes, his button nose, and I'm going to use my red pen and do some stitch lines around the side just because I think it'll be cute, and I think it'll make that red nose pop. Now this little guy is going to get glued to the front of this tag, so I'm just going to glue him straight down. You could pop him up on some foam dots or something like that, but I think because he's got that button nose, he doesn't need any more dimension. I'm going to open that out so I can lay it flat to put him down. I'm being a little careful because his nose is still not completely dry because I was very generous with the glue on the nose. So there is that. Now we need to put a string so that it can be used onto a package. So let's finish this guy up. His brad is done, so let me poke a hole in this page. I'm just going to use my die tool to do it. So I'm just going to start here, do a little hole, and then pick this page up and kind of drill into it and make that hole whatever size I need by twisting this guy around. Then I'm going to pierce that brad through the hole we made. Perfect. And seal it down in the back. There we go. Super cute. So there's his little red nose. Let's put some antlers on him. Now, one thing I want to caution you on if you're using the Martha Stewart branch punch, and I did it wrong the first time, but I really don't think it's that big of a deal. See how I have both antlers facing kind of in the same direction here? I had to flip one over to make that happen. On this one, I didn't do that, and I still don't think it matters. I still think it works. So either way you do it is fine. So put some glue on the back of this dude. So now that I've put those antlers on there, they're still a little bit light for me, so I think I'm going to cut another one so I don't waste this one. So still using scraps, I'm just going to dig into a darker color because I'm not a fan of how light those turned out. But once you figure this part out, you can go from there and just make bunches and bunches at a time. So this one lays like this. I'm going to put this on top of there and see if I like that better. Then in my future ones, I'll just use this color instead of 2 colors. But I think this will work. Not perfect, but pretty close. See how that kind of fixed that mistake? So I think that's a good way to do it. And then again, on my next ones, I'll just use this color and not have to do the double layer. But you can take out a piece of scrap paper and stamp down your deer and then just hold some colored paper to it to see which color would work for your antlers best before you get started. Now because he's so dark, I'm going to use the Google eyes on him because I think they'll show up better than my pen. So I'm just going to put one on here and kind of move it into position. Something like that. He's so funny. Then let's do the other. And I like them to not hang off the side, but they could totally hang off the side. So how funny is he? Let's do some red stitching around him too. And let's glue him down to a card front. Now you don't have to make these to hang on gifts. You could just use these for little cards to go with gifts. These little 3x3s are perfect for that. Now I can't stop here. I'm going to take out my wink of Stella and do his antlers with a little wink of Stella so they'll have a little shimmer to them. Wink of Stella never shows up on camera. I don't care what I do, I cannot make it show up on camera. But just know there is glitter on these antlers. A lot of people ask me to slow down when I say the name of this because it's hard to understand what we're saying. This brush pen is called Wink of Stella. So it's 3 words and it just gives a hint of a little bit of shimmer and it's really, really pretty. So his little antlers are shimmering. So there's that. Now from my stamp set called Critter Christmas, I'm going to use some of these sentiments. They're perfect for this. I don't know exactly which ones, but any that have to do with this little reindeer dude, I'm going to use. This one says go tail, like an animal's tail it on the mountain. So I'm going to use it for one. So I'm just opening these cards up. They're still drying a little bit, not too much. And I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And the sentiment from that, or at least on one of these, I'm going to use go tail it on the mountain. I think that's funny. Like a deer's tail. So there's that one. And then on this one, I'm going to look for a different sentiment. On this one, I'm going to use the sentiment that says Furley's Navidad. So it's like fur from the deer. I think that one's really cute too. And I'll mix up the sentiments in the other cards. So now let's put a string on them so we can tie them to a package. Here's what you do. Poke a hole with your hole punch. I'm going to poke it in the corner. I just think that's cute. You could poke it in the middle. It'd be fine. But I'm just doing these little corners here. And that goes through all the layers of the cardstock. And now I'm going to put with some red baker's twine a string. So I'm just going to make a loop on one end and just send this through that hole. Pull it through. We're going to make a slip knot. I'm going to open our loop and grab our loose ends and pull it through. So now I have a string to tie this onto a card or to a present, and it will still open because I did the little slip knot. So it can loosen up a little bit to allow that to open. And that's super cute. Let me do the other one. I'm using so much baker's twine this year, I'm not even putting this thing away. I keep this out because I reach for it constantly making these tags. Can you imagine how many things you can make? Now remember, this same technique can be used to make a greeting card or anything you're doing. Look how cute our reindeer tags came out using these little guys. Well, let's put them where they go. Using those little inks. Super cool. Now here's what you can do too. You can think of what you have in your stash that's shaped like this. It's basically a teardrop shape, and deer faces pretty much work for like teardrop shapes. So you could do all kinds of stuff. Now, so there you go. 2 of the tags. I'll finish out the rest off camera because this is pretty much how they work. And these are ready to go for your presents this year. I love it. How fun are these shapes? I think we're just barely scratched the surface of what we can do with these shapes, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with your deer and how you decorate them. You probably will come up with a million different ways to do it, and I'm excited. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching today. When you recreate these guys or when you make something like them, share it with us over on our Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. We love to see what you're making. We love all of your inspiration, and you can also share photos of what you do on Instagram, on Twitter. Just tag me in it. Make sure that I get to see what you're doing because it makes me so happy to see you guys recreating these ideas. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.